Today, I'm meeting one of the few remaining restorers of historic woodwork for listed buildings and get an insight into this rapidly declining trade. And what better place to meet Vincent Reed than here at Kensington Palace.
Hello, James.
Hi, Vincent. Good to see you.
Welcome to Kensington Palace.
Thank you very much indeed.
Would you like me to show you around?
I think that would be fabulous. Thank you.
Come on. This is the Queen's State Apartments, and we are currently in the Queen's Gallery.
When you come into a room like this and you're saying, right, I've got to take 4 or 5 large panels down with history going back to the 1700s in somewhere like this, there must be a little bit of you going, where do I start without messing it up? I mean, how do you begin to say, I'm going to take that panel off that wall?
Yeah. Firstly, there's quite a lot of looking and studying and talking.
Yeah, it's not a chisel and a mallet straight off.
It's
is
not.
It?
No, absolutely not. So I'll bring my team and we'll look at a panel, and we will just try and understand how it's constructed. The first thing we do is we take lots of recordings, photographs, videos, lots of measurements. Then we use a low-tack masking tape. We'll write on all the component parts that are possibly being removed. The location of the panel, if it's where the shadow lines are, we'll absolutely mark everything up in detail before it's removed.
Because you don't want to be starting to put the wrong panel back in the wrong place.
It's amazing. If you get it wrong by literally 4 or 5 millimeters, because you haven't taken the time to look at it at the start.
Yeah.
And you're scratching your head and thinking, why is this panel not going back? Well, it's not going back in the precise location.
Yeah.
Bear in mind, when these panels come off, we don't know how structurally sound they are. So you could lift the panel off and it could start to flex. And if it flexes too much, it can snap.
The age of these?
These 2 panels, although they are very similar, and to the untrained eye, you think they were from a similar date, they're actually not. This panel on the left-hand side dates to 1690, and the panel on the right-hand side dates to 1890. So
there's 200 years between the two.
Exactly.
You've been working here at Kensington Palace for 12 years or so. What makes you be the man and the team that comes in here to do this sort of thing? What's the difference between a conservation joiner and a regular joiner, I suppose?
Understanding patina and historical finishes and the importance of them. And also having a really broad knowledge of history and the styles. Firstly, the patina and the historical finishes, that's really, really important, because if you imagine that you're trying to replace a section of panelling that has a 400-year-old surface on, and you have to put a new piece in. If you put that new piece in, you can't touch any of the historical finish. So you have to be able to put your repair in and to be able to pare that back, which is with a paring chisel. Also, understanding what that finish is, how old it is, how much dirt and grime needs to be kept on that particular surface.
Yes.
So this is our panel, our 17th century panel on the left-hand side. Now, as opposed to the panel on the right-hand side, it's a redder colour, it's cleaner, it hasn't been sun-bleached as much, there's not accumulating of dirt and grime in all the corners, so it's much cleaner. Yeah. Then, once you've identified the difference, you know the historical significance of this panel as opposed to this panel. They both have historical significance because it's part of the history of the building. Yeah. But you really need to understand and know.
Another very impressive room, the King's Drawing Room. This is where the King came to withdraw when he'd been entertaining and just wanted to have a bit of a breather, maybe at the end of the night. This is where he would come. You turned it into a workshop for 5 to 6 weeks. I'm just trying to visualize that now, looking at it in its state. I mean, go on, paint the picture. What were you doing?
Yeah, so, well, fortunately, we had the luxury of it being a large space. We had a bandsaw here, and I think we had our workbench set up here, and And then over on this section, one of these huge panels, if I remember correctly, it was sort of laid out on some big trestles here.
Right.
And this is where we were examining the backs of the panels and seeing how they were constructed.
Your talent is here with the people that were working here in this room as their workshop. What's the state of your profession at the moment?
Yeah, it's concerning because there are very few young people coming into the trade, and I did have a moment when we worked here in 2016 and saw us set up with our lovely workbenches and tools, and I thought, who will be doing this in 20 years' time when I'm long retired? And it's absolutely vital that we keep these traditional specialist crafts going, using the correct methods and techniques.
Being here is quite inspiring, really, that you could be a future craftsman working on some of England's and the UK's historic buildings.
Absolutely, and the lovely thing about working somewhere like this is that you'll restore a panel to its original intention or construction. You'll put it back, and you know that panel is going to last for hundreds of years, and many people, future generations, are going to view that and appreciate it, and that's what's really, that's really important to me.
The most glamorous, most historic workshop ever for you, probably, or for anyone.
Exactly. So I would come to work and just think, you'd be busy, washing off some glue, and you'd look up and you think, oh, I remember where I am.
Yeah, remind yourself. And that's the other thing as well. Keeping everything here, I assume you needed to use all the trade, talent from the time, and also all the materials and
Absolutely.
the glues and everything to keep it as is.
Yeah, so the panels were installed in 1720, and what we wanted to do is restore the panels as close as we possibly could to the methods and techniques used in the early 18th century. So that meant animal glue we used, which is reversible, and it meant our hand planes and our chisels. So we literally had to, on a few of the panels, redesign them back because they had been modified over the years and put them back to the 18th century design. So, and the only way we could do that was by hand work and specialist methods and techniques. When we were restoring these panels and we were taking off glue blocks that had been put in there in 1720 or so, it's quite, you can get a connection. You really can get a connection from the past. You wonder, what craftsman, who did that? Who was repairing, who was making these panels at the time? Where do they live? Were they from London? Were they abroad? It's a fascinating part of my job.
It goes without saying, specialist work like this needs to be continued for decades to come. The question is, by who? Join the debate below, subscribe and follow our journey as we meet more wood care experts and look at the challenges they face.